Heartbeat in the Brain is a documentary from 1970 that has become a piece of obscure lost media because of how difficult it is to find today. The documentary was created by Amanda Fielden, a British artist and researcher who became interested in trepanation. Trepanation is the process of drilling a hole into the skull, and it's one of the oldest known surgical procedures in human history. What makes this documentary so unusual is that Amanda didn't just research the procedure, she decided to perform it on herself. The film shows Amanda using a dental drill to make a small opening in her forehead while the camera records the entire process. She believed trepanation could increase blood flow to the brain and possibly create a different state of awareness. The documentary is not really filmed like a traditional medical documentary. It feels more like an experimental art film. After it was made, Heartbeat in the Brain never received a normal public release. Instead, it was shown through very limited screenings connected to underground art and experimental film communities. One of the earliest known screenings happened in 1970 at the International Underground Film Festival in London. The film was also shown years later in 1978 at the Sidham Gallery in New York City, where it gained attention because of how extreme the subject matter was. For decades after that, the documentary became extremely difficult to see. It wasn't something you could easily find online, and it mostly survived through people who had seen it, written about it, or kept information about its existence. That's what makes Heartbeat in the Brain interesting from a lost media perspective. The film wasn't completely forgotten, people knew it existed. There were records of screenings, information about Amanda's work, and references to the documentary, but the actual film remained mostly unavailable to the public. The documentary eventually resurfaced through another screening in 2011 at the Institute of Contemporary Arts in London. This helped bring more attention back to the film, but it still never became widely available online. I also found a Reddit post where a user named Grandfather Paradox claimed they contacted Amanda Fielden about the documentary. In the post, the OP said that Amanda's organization staff responded and told them there were no plans to make Heartbeat in the Brain public. If that information is accurate, it means the documentary could continue to stay hidden from most people. Even though it's a real film with a documented history, finding a full public copy is still extremely difficult. Heartbeat in the Brain is a good example of how lost media doesn't always mean something disappeared completely. Sometimes it's a piece of media that exists somewhere, but for most people it might as well be missing. On May 23, 1999, WWF held the Over the Edge pay-per-view event at the Kemper Arena in Kansas City, Missouri. One of the wrestlers appearing that night was Owen Hart, who was performing as the Blue Blazer. The character was meant to be a superhero parody, and part of his entrance involved him being lowered from the ceiling into the ring like a superhero flying down. Owen had used similar entrances before, but during this one, something went wrong. While he was being lowered from around 78 feet above the ring, the release mechanism on his harness accidentally activated. Owen fell from the rafters and landed inside the ring in front of the live audience. The moment was captured on the live broadcast, but the camera quickly moved away afterward. The show went to a commercial break while people backstage rushed to figure out how serious the situation was. Because Owen was playing a goofy character with a planned stunt entrance, some people backstage initially thought it might have been part of the show. But it quickly became clear that this was a real accident. Owen Hart was taken backstage where medical workers tried to save him, but he died from his injuries at only 34 years old. After the accident, the show continued. Wrestlers backstage were informed about what happened, and after officials confirmed Owen had passed away, commentator Jim Ross told the audience watching at home what had happened. The decision to continue the event became one of the biggest controversies surrounding the incident. Many fans questioned why the show went on after such a serious tragedy. Years later, Owen Hart's fall is still remembered as one of the most tragic moments in wrestling history. But the incident also has another connection to lost media, which is the footage itself. Since WWF's production cameras were recording that night, footage of Owen's fall exists. Former WWF announcer Kevin Kelly later said that the tape was stored in WWE's archive in Stamford, Connecticut, with instructions that it should never be destroyed, viewed, or duplicated. The complete unedited footage from WWE's archives has never been released publicly. The full over-the-edge broadcast was also difficult to find for years. Fans mainly had access through bootleg VHS recordings until WWE added the event to the WWE network in 2014. This is why the Owen Hart fall is considered lost media. The footage was recorded, but the complete unedited version has never been available for the public to watch. It's a rare case where everyone knows the footage exists, but a major piece of wrestling history remains unseen. Now, this next piece of lost media is a little different. It's not technically lost internet media, but instead it falls under the category of lost physical media. Instead of a video, audio recording, or file disappearing online, this is about an actual physical object that existed and then went missing. One example of this is Buzzy, an old Disney animatronic from Epcot that disappeared and became one of the strangest cases of lost physical media. In December of 2018, Disney fans started noticing something strange. Buzzy, who was located inside the abandoned Wonders of Life pavilion at Epcot, was suddenly reported missing. Before that happened, parts of him had already started disappearing. His hat, jacket, headphones, and other pieces were taken from the attraction. Then the biggest discovery came when people realized Buzzy himself was gone. What made this so strange was that Buzzy wasn't some small item that could easily be taken. He was a full-sized audio animatronic that had been attached inside the old Cranium Command attraction. People online immediately started asking how something that big could disappear from Disney property without anyone noticing. Buzzy originally appeared in Cranium Command, an attraction that opened in 1989 inside Epcot's Wonders of Life pavilion. The ride took guests inside the brain of a 12-year-old kid and showed how different parts of the brain worked. Buzzy was the main character and acted as the commander, controlling everything happening inside the brain. When the Wonders of Life pavilion closed in 2007, a lot of the area was left untouched. Buzzy stayed inside Cranium Command for years, sitting in the same spot while the rest of the pavilion slowly became abandoned. Eventually, people started exploring the closed-off area and posting pictures online. Buzzy became one of the most recognizable parts of the abandoned pavilion because he looked like he was frozen in time. Fans would share pictures of him and talk about how cool it was that this old Disney character was still sitting there. After the disappearance, the internet had a lot of theories about what happened. Some people believed he was taken by collectors, while others thought he may have been moved somewhere by Disney. Even years later, fans still debate where he actually ended up. A lot of people online were confused because removing an animatronic like Buzzy would require time, knowledge, and multiple people. And that's what makes Buzzy a piece of lost physical media. It's not a lost video or a missing recording, the actual physical object itself is missing. Today, people can still find photos and videos of Buzzy from when he was inside Epcot, but the original animatronic has never been publicly found. Whether he's sitting somewhere in storage or ended up in someone's private collection, Buzzy remains one of the strangest missing pieces of Disney history.